Number 10.
Mary Poppins. So what I have here in this spot is another one of those movies that I wish I saw as a kid but never did. And that'd be this film here, Mary Poppins, which is what I would like to say is Disney's magnum opus when it comes to live action films. I mean, sure, in recent years they've only been known for doing live action reimagining or retellings of their classic animated features, ranging from Aladdin to Lady and the Tramp to Cinderella to... Actually, that one doesn't count. It's technically all animated, made to look like live action because we jumped so far into CG technology. Never mind. Mary Poppins. The story is about the Banks family who's in dire need of a nanny to look after the rambunctious ones of the family, Jane and Michael. So while the father's filling out applications for more brutal and more uptight and strict nannies, while Jane and Michael write up their own resume for a nanny, until the resume winds up in the hands of our titular character, Mary Poppins, played by Julie Andrews. From there, Mary Poppins helped them out with lessons, some fun songs, and characters here and there. They jump into an animated world, and tagging along with them is an interesting casting choice that probably a lot have made fun of, played by Dick Van Dyke. Sometimes he'll be a one-man band, sometimes he'll be a truck painter on the street, other times he'll be a chimney sweeper. He'll be anything. Now, much like The Wizard of Oz, while I never saw this as a kid, I would see it later on. But unlike Wizard of Oz, when I saw that in middle school and fell in love with it since, Mary Poppins? I didn't see that until high school. But actually, when I did see it for the first time, I was like, wow, this is a pretty good live-action movie from Disney, to be honest. For what it's worth, Mary Poppins actually did feel really fun and really energetic. I mean, it has a lot of fun moments. The obvious one that many people are familiar with is the whole supercalifragilisticexpialidocious song. But also, you gotta love where they're in the chimney doing Step in Time. Like, that's the most high energy you could get out of it. But it also has a really, really perfect moment in it. And this fares way into close to the end of the movie. Plots won't be given, but man, just when you see that moment, the atmospheric, about 2-minute moment in the movie, it is something of cinema that is just perfect. But how do I feel about Mary Poppins? I loved it. Everyone's pointed out that it's got the trademarks of Disney in it. Good cast of characters, wonderful animation, perfect story, great musical sequences. It's a Disney movie, what else can be said? But also, as I've said before, it is one of Disney's magnum opuses. Why one? Because Mary Poppins had received 13 Academy Award nominations, including Best Picture, and won 5 of them. Would this be another one of those movies I wish I had grown up on, much like I said for Wizard of Oz? Definitely. I would have loved to watch this movie as a kid, but something in the mind just made me pass by it while I watched other films. The movie stands out as Disney's magnum opus, but I mean, this was also one of the movies that he worked on before he passed away. So this would be the closest thing he would see of one of his features being nominated for Best Picture. Until later on when some of the animated feature films would hit those marks, but that's for another story. You'll be enjoying this movie faster than you can say supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Sorry, I'm gonna go cancel myself out now.
Number 9.
Oh, Pixar, you're such a great company. You have a very good track record when it comes to memorable animated feature films, for the most part, but that really doesn't matter. You're such a great company. What film could I put you into this spot? Thankfully, it only came with a two-way tie between two films from the 2000s, Wall.e and Ratatouille. And they've done a great job of making animated features the best they can. They've been improving their work with every feature film. So probably for another video perhaps, maybe a year or two, I don't know, I may do like, I don't know, a top 5 or 10 favorite Pixar movie list. That's unknown, but let's get through this list for now. So what do I decide for this? Well, first I want to say is, I'm glad that Ratatouille is starting to pick up more appreciation in recent years, especially with the launch of Disney Plus, and truth be told, it's the best story about cooking and art. Sadly, that's not the movie for this spot. As shame as it may, I guess I will have to take this spot and point it towards Wall.e. I like the idea for the movie, where it takes place in kind of like this future post-apocalyptic Earth where it's all abandoned and the only things that are alive are this mechanical trash compacting robot named, well, Wall.e. But for a majority of them, they seem to be shut down. Except for one, who still does his job while also looking around for stuff that interests him, while also having a love for the musical Hello Dolly. Great taste. Often or not, he'll find himself taping some of the songs that he'll play from time to time. It's until another android from another planet, it's nice, it's clean, it has a shape like this, and its purpose is to find something living on Earth. Minus Wall.e, of course. And of course, he sees her, takes her in, shows her a bunch of the stuff that he's collected in the past, including a boot with a plant in it, which causes Evie to basically take the plant, shut down, and wait for something to come back. Why's that? Because it turns out that a plant growing in Earth means that this gigantic ship made by a company called By and Large will return to Earth, meaning it's safe to come back. The one thing that kind of tickles my mind, out of context, that sounds so wrong. So, rephrasing it. The one thing that I love about it is an android on Earth meets with a android from space, and he tags along with her and just sees the gigantic spaceship that he's never seen on Earth ever. The one thing I also like is the first 15 minutes of the movie, there's no dialogue, which is rare for a animated feature to have their film like this. The only rare instances that I've actually seen this happen is with the two Shaun the Sheep movies, which I also highly recommend. Personally, I like the relationship between Wall.e and Eve. Animation also is another step up. Like I said before, Pixar have been improving their animation with every feature film that has come out. And this film is no exception. If you even remember Toy Story and look back at its animation, it was pretty, well, janky. At least in the human parts. But thankfully in future Pixar films, that's improved. I also like how they took Fred Willard, rest in peace, and put him in the movie. I can't tell whether or not they used live action footage of him or animated him, but then again, we're talking about a film where they acquired the rights to Hello Dolly on a Betamax tape that our main character watches on an iPod. You can't make this stuff up. I don't see anything wrong with Wall.e. It's a beautiful masterpiece. I can guarantee you within the next generations of every Pixar film that comes out and people that are going to look at this movie in the future, thanks to Disney Plus, you can tell Wall.e will never be forgotten in time, even if our Earth becomes desolated and bleak and very dirty. But whatever. Wall-E's another great Pixar film. It's lovely, perfect. What else could be said about Disney than just go for it and check it out. Number 8. The Land Before Time. What spot were you thinking this was going to be at? Top 5? Whatever. Anyways, this is actually the movie that inspired me to, well, discuss my opinions on movies, and perhaps of that, it's been just about a decade since that happened, so what made Land Before Time the movie that inspired me to review stuff? Well, let's discuss it. A Brontosaurus named Littlefoot is born the last of his kind, the survivors being his mother, grandmother, and grandfather. Along the way, he meets up with a Triceratops named Sarah, whom doesn't want to be with him, mostly because she just wants to stick with her own herd. But a big earthquake happens that separates Littlefoot and Sarah from their parents, as they wind up having to figure out how to get to this mysterious land called the Great Valley, while also another pair of dinosaurs that were separated from the earthquake, Ducky and Petrie, along with a newborn Stegosaurus named Spike. I just realized there are so many movies I have in this list that I have never seen as a kid. I really didn't think of this until now. But it's true. This is one of the series I never grew up with. And I do say series because there are 13 sequels, most of them direct-to-video, and mostly throughout the direct-to-video sequels, it mostly consists of lower quality animation along with musical numbers. Because it's a direct-to-video children's film, because why not? I don't really know why Land Before Time sticks out as one of my favorite movies, but there was just something about it that just rang into my mind and said, this was actually pretty good. I loved it. It was perfect. Maybe a few more viewings and then see how far it goes. Then all of a sudden, inspiration. It made me want to discuss my opinions on movies. And I commend Land Before Time for doing that. But also, I have a lot of VHSs and DVDs from this. You think I'm kidding? Put the photos up on screen of every single video format that I own the Land Before Time on. Oh yeah, that's real. I own everything from the demo tape to the latest Blu-ray release. That is how much of a fan I am to the first Land Before Time movie. The animation by Don Bluth is really top-notch, but that also could be because Don Bluth used to work for Disney, but left sometime during the production of The Fox and the Hound. So that may be why it has that Disney-esque feel to it. It's not the highest of the finest Don Bluth films. I mean, you take a look at, let's say, Secret of Nim or An American Tail, you can definitely see they put a lot into it. A lot had to be rewritten during the production of it, because originally it was PG, but the fact that Spielberg and Lucas were the executive producers of the film, I'm not kidding that the both of them were a part of this, had to trim the movie down for it to get a G rating just because it was that scary. Outside of the movie being trimmed, it's still a beautiful film, great characters, lovely score. You also gotta love that song by Diana Ross at the end. Animation is great and fluid. It's easily one of my favorite non-animated Disney films in this slot. Number 7. Akira, or Akira. The year is 2019. The location, Neo-Tokyo. The characters, Kaneda, the leader of a bike gang, with a member being Tatsuo. Tatsuo winds up finding himself in a nasty crash with a secret government project. Well, during that accident, he winds up gaining these supernatural powers, leading Kaneda to figure out how to stop this government project, and Tatsuo going insane with power and finding the mystical Akira. When I saw this in middle school, I didn't really think of this as anime. It looked like a very fluid, well-put-together animated feature in the likes of Disney or any other animation company. It influenced a lot of animation and movies here in the US, and I can guarantee you somewhere in a live action or in another animated project, you've seen people recreate that bike skidding shot. So I really have nothing to add to it except great animation, perfect music, a good story to it, despite the fact they were actually making the books around the same time as they were making this movie, but still stands out as a great anime film either way. Number 6. Beauty and the Beast. Remember how I mentioned that there were Disney films that I never really watched as a kid? Next to Lion King and Aladdin, this is one of my favorite movies in what was called the Renaissance era. A young, spirited, headstrong woman, Belle, being the outside regular of how most women are. Her father is an inventor, and has created something that he will show to a convention. But unfortunately, he's lost in the tracks, winds up coming across this abandoned castle with lots of inanimate objects that talk, but unfortunately, there is a creature, whom we actually never know his name, named Beast, traps her father into the prison, leading Belle to try and figure out what happened to her father. In trade for her father's freedom, Belle has to be there and try and free the Beast from the curse. Will she succeed? Will the Beast have a change of heart? Will he be able to change back into what he once was? This movie definitely made a lot of headlines. The music is standard for Disney, it's memorable. You probably may have one or two of the songs stuck in your mind, or you've heard it at the Disney theme parks, if you actually had, which is Be Our Guest and the song of the same title of the movie. And Howard Ashman worked on the film, but passed away during its production. And the other thing that made it stand out was it was also the first animated movie to be nominated for Best Picture. I mean, sure, like, this was before the Best Animated Feature Oscar that would be introduced a decade later, but Beauty and the Beast nominated for Best Picture the same year as Silence of the Lambs? That definitely stood out. It was quite a surprise to a lot of people. It was that impactful of a Disney movie. What are my experiences with this? Why did I watch this Disney princess movie more than I would, let's say, Cinderella? Why did I watch Beauty and the Beast more than Cinderella? Truth be told, I really have no idea. I think it was just something about the song or how good the characters were that made me love the movie so much. I mean, even to the point where my parents, as well as some of my relatives, blindly took me to see the re-release of the film in IMAX. Yes, that actually did happen. The IMAX release added in another sequence that's in the Broadway play, which is Human Again. It actually is another good song, which is sad to see that it got cut out of the theatrical version. A lot of these movies in the list, I say, have been talked about beforehand, and this movie is no exception. It's Disney. Many people would talk about this movie. It'd be in their favorite list. The one movie you'd have in your library. Whether or not you had it on VHS, or if you had it on DVD, or if you have it on Blu-ray, whatever. This is, again, another perfectly made Disney film. A work in progress was shown at the New York Film Festival to a standing ovation. This is the one for you from one of the best eras of Disney.